So here came Chinese breakfast, which is some rice congee, which looks like porridge made from rice with chicken in it, some soy sauce, some various things to put in the soy sauce, and these dim sums. There's some kind of thing in there that I don't know what it will be, and some jasmine tea, so that's called Chinese breakfast. Well, there you go. Well, there's the back of the hotel as it arches round there. My jolly room is on the back side, so it's looking out at this building as I've shown you already. Can't see for the trees, I can't see the woods for the trees, but I'll just pop out here and show you. Well, it's tall, isn't it? The angle I had to take that out, I'm not sure whether you got an impression of, but it was very high. So I came out there, went out the front way obviously. I don't know if there is a back way. If there is one, I don't know it. And if there isn't, so much the better. And basically just decided to take the first street to the west of the hotel northwards, because up north is an older area and up to the west is, so I'll be going north and west, so that's the direction I want to be working in order to get to more of the older area, more of the interesting area, the historic hutongs and what have you. I'm not really asking, I didn't take my Baedeker with me, my lonely planet. I don't have a love of those things. I prefer to read them afterwards sitting on the toilet than to walk around with them, to be honest with you. I prefer the old room with the view experience of getting lost in Florence sans Baedeker, as Ian Foster immortally put it. And it's quite a good novel, that, actually, The Room with a View. There's an interesting thing. I'm almost not looking at it. It's interesting, he's come off and he's running off in a different direction, having left that completely there. Oh, he's dropped his iPhone. Okay. He's just dropped it off out of his pocket, it fell in the ground. He's now checking it over for loss. Whether it's good to film people losing face like that, I don't know, but never mind. He's honking people for using the crossing on a red thingy. There's a traffic light up there that's saying don't go, but half of this seems to be cordoned off for pedestrians anyway. There's a French lady. Fa nu. Fa guo nu. Ren. So there we go, that's all a little bit, it's big, it's really big. It puts America almost into second place, really, doesn't it? So big and highly developed. And there's a lot of it. There's 1.4 billion people's worth of it, which is like 4 Americas, or slightly more. I'm talking about the United States. It's interesting when you consider Canada, how much space there is in Canada, but they're not going to be able to use it unless there's a really big shift in climate. So this gives you an idea of scale, I suppose. It doesn't take long to walk around and get away from things, whereas in Moscow I always had the impression that I'd walk for ages and barely go anywhere, and I'd still be looking back and seeing the thing. That may just be that I wasn't so used to walking in those days, so I shouldn't really compare the two that way. That's a Dafangyan as well, isn't it? Isn't it, or not? I can never. Or is it a Datangwan? I can never work out. Oh, that's alcohol. That's alcohol. Big alcohol shop. Yeah? Going by, it would be Orki Saki, yeah. Oh, it's not really, yeah, it's 10, that's a 10 in Japanese. But what they are in... See these things, There's one simplified character there, and there's one which is simply not in Japanese to my knowledge, so I don't know it. Lion Fund mentioned. So there you go, some English music being piped out into the street. This tous les jours looks like what? Looks like a patisserie, doesn't it? Fresh bakery, fresh every day, tous les jours. Yeah? And there's a r at the end there, so you can say it's something. And the first one is door, and at the end is r. The two in the middle, I should know that one that looks like looks a bit like an e in Japanese, but I still haven't got my head around it. Looks like an N in hiragana, I should say. Is it? Yeah. So lots of these motorbikes going around, but still nothing's as crowded as I imagined it would be. It's all quite, under crowded rather than overcrowded. Nice policeman's hat sitting there. So lots of scooters and things. At the moment, this could be any street in any country, so I don't see any point in filming at the moment, because it could be almost like nothing so special going on here. I might turn it off and turn it back on again when something actually happens. Well, obviously there's a song, very famous song, thanks to Katie Melua, and it says there's 9 million bicycles in Beijing. A lot of them seem to be motor bicycles. This example, with an inner tube protecting its parcel on there, looks really quite old. It's obviously got some kind of a petrol engine in it, but it's got kind of dual power. It's got pedals on it, but it's obviously got some kind of a petrol engine as well with a panda on it. And there's even a nice old style thingy on it. A lot of these are Japanese, Yamaha there, what have you. I thought I'd met that girl there earlier, but she looks just like one I met in the plane and had a chat with. She knew very good French, but she also spoke a bit to me in Mandarin, and as she understood everything I said, that made me feel a lot better. Not that I could say much, but at least she said that I was getting the tones okay. But the things that I can say and get the tones right, that's really limited. So when the things that I can say and get the tones right and write the character down, that's even more limited. So there are some words where I know the character but don't know how it sounds in Chinese, because I know it in Japanese. Some of those I'll be getting wrong because there's a change in meanings for some of them in Japanese. There are some which I simply don't recognise at all, but I can see what the radical is, etc. And I'd be able to write it down quite efficiently from just being able to analyse the primitive elements that go into it. Some of them I'll be able to say but probably not recognise when they were said back to me, because I'm not saying them quite right, whether because of the syllable sound or the tone. But most of it, of course, I don't know at all, which is not usual when I travel, especially not after making an effort to actually learn it. Usually languages just go like that, sit on them for 5 minutes, there you learn them, but not with something as different as Chinese, with as many extra layers in it, like the characters and the tones and the way they put together two syllables to mean something quite different to what we would say. That's actually the fascination of it all. So, oh blimey, Soho. Looks like we're in London. This looks like quite a big road going up here, so that's probably one of these cheers. So so far it all looks very nice.